There are quite a few required documents for the AP United States Government and Politics course, and sometimes it can be difficult to remember all of them. Before taking the exam, I spent a while reviewing the Federalist papers especially, so this video is a quick recap of what they are and the key concepts you will need to know for the exam. To understand the Federalist Papers, it is important to remember their historical contexts. The Federalist Papers were published in 1788. They were written by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay under the shared pseudonym of Publius. The purpose of these documents was to promote the ratification of the Constitution. Remember that Hamilton, Madison, and Jay were Federalists. The Federalists favored strong central government, while the Anti-Federalists favored strong state governments and less centralized power. In Federalist number 10, Madison discusses the issues with political parties, which he also refers to throughout the essay as factions. Madison saw factions as a major problem for a republic. He feared what would happen if a faction were to reach a level where the majority of the people followed it. He believed that factions could be very dangerous, and throughout the paper he mentions ways that he feels they could be checked. Something that may help you remember this document could be relating it to George Washington's farewell address, published years later, where he, too, expressed his fears of political parties, specifically the two-party system. Federalist number 51 is about checks and balances. Madison explains that in order to keep the federal government from infringing upon the people's rights, the different branches of government must be able to keep each other in check. Some examples of checks and balances include the executive veto and pocket veto, congressional override of an executive veto, and the Supreme Court's ability to declare an action by Congress or the President unconstitutional. Checks and balances are essential to the government because they make sure that no branch acts outside of their powers and that no single branch would obtain too much power. Checks and balances also effectively manage the necessary separation of powers. Federalist number 70 calls for a singular, strong, and enthusiastic executive. In this paper, Hamilton explains that a unitary executive is necessary because it gives the people someone to hold accountable. He argues that having one accountable executive makes it easier for the people to understand and follow. He also lists some ideal qualities for this figure to have, and emphasizes that this person must have energy and give the people direction. The last of the required Federalist papers is Federalist number 78. This essay by Alexander Hamilton is about the importance of judicial review and the independent judiciary. He also claims that the judicial branch is the least dangerous to the people, but does not hide the fact that it is also a powerful branch. When discussing judicial review, he writes that the Supreme Court has the responsibility of looking into and declaring whether or not an act by Congress is unconstitutional. According to Britannica, judicial independence is the ability of courts and judges to perform their duties free of influence or control by other actors, whether governmental or private. This term is also used in a normative sense to refer to the kind of independence that courts and judges ought to possess. Finally, the Federalist papers will likely come up in both the multiple choice and free response sections of the exam. In the event that they come up for the FRQ number 4, the essay question, you will want to be ready to score the rebuttal point. For this, remember to take a look at another required document, Brutus number 1, which is Anti-Federalist.